Welcome to On the Chain. This is Jeff here with co-host Chip. What is going on, everybody? We are here punctual as usual, right at 8 a.m. You might be late yourself, but it's 8 a.m. over here. So welcome to On the Chain. Looking forward to diving in and digging in and getting into the topic of the day, Ripple and Tether. We talked about Ripple and Circle the other day, and Ripple got the door slammed in their face on the whole Circle thing. Now Ripple and Tether. We actually talked about Tether on that show. So what is going on with Ripple and Tether? Well, we're going to talk about that today. 50% of crypto dead. That's right. 50% of the crypto projects that have been built are no longer out there anymore. And that number might keep rising as they keep crashing. XRP and XDC taking center stage. We're going to dive in, dig in, and workshop all this stuff, Chip.
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready to dive in to the shallow end for maximum impact. Let's go.
Welcome to On the Chain.
Welcome. James D says an 8:20 start. That's false. That cannot be true. That cannot be true. We did have some difficulties, which will prevent us from having a original song today, but that's okay. It happens. We
actually got the song, just no video.
Yeah, we have the song, no video.
We might play the song up there. That could be.
Yeah, we'll just play the song. But anyway, we usually keep a good sort of a cadence of having a video for each new badass Yeti that we're giving away. Also, too, very shortly, we are coming up with some more exciting news on the badass chimps. They will be affordable, they will be good, and they will be limited. And they are badass for sure. And so we'll have news as that develops, but hopefully they will launch later this month, if not sooner. We'll keep you guys tied into all that. Good day, lurkers. Guys, tell us where you're coming in from. If you're from down under, there you go. How do you say you're an Aussie without selling you're an Aussie? Right there. That's how you do it. Good day, lurkers. That's how you do it. So there you go, everybody. Welcome. 8 o'clock is start fake news. Of course it is. We've been pretty good about starting on time, but sometimes, man, it gets a little weird. It just happens. Good morning from New York. Look at that. Miguel Castillo coming in from New York. We got Matt LaRoche coming in from down under. Beautiful. All right. Beautiful, guys. And all of a sudden, Jeff's starting it off with the Yeti. First one in there with the Yeti. So, guys, type in Yeti because we will be giving one away at the end of the broadcast. And, of course, you have to be here. So if you win and you're not here, and you don't come in and we don't say like, hey, I'm here, I'm getting my Zaman wallet. I'm also getting my X handle for you so we can tag you in the post when we put that out on the socials. We'll want that as well to sort of like be able to do that. And I've seen everybody look at checking in right there. There we go. Crypto G. Remember that the time late last year we hung out? That was cool. That was awesome. It was cool. It's always great to meet you guys in person. And of course, Jim D, we had a great meal with Jim D and some awesome conversation, man. It was some deep, awesome conversation. And so, we love that. And of course, who else? He's not here yet. At least I don't see him chiming in. But it's just nice when we get to meet you guys in person. It's one thing to guys be talking in the chat, but Jeff, it's so cool to be able to meet everybody in person, right? We had a good time with Jim D. Jim D's incredibly, we always try to get him on the show because he's always got a good take on things. We said you can come on anonymously, you don't have to show your face, you can come on and you can just join in. We've had people come in anonymously. I know you don't want to give that away, so it's always an open invitation. And of course, Chad Nauseum we met, and Chad, we met him at the Quantum Summit. He made a promise before we met him, and he said he would have a name tag on. And as soon as I saw him, he indeed did have the name tag on. So that was pretty awesome as well. Of course that's his handle, but I almost slipped inside his real name, but we had a great time hanging out with Chad. It was a lot of fun. Hung out the weekend. It's just phenomenal. Again, great conversations. We had a nice meal together, some good laughs, which is always a great thing. But always a big privilege for us. So, by the way, Matt's starting a rumor that Ripple offered $20 billion for his Yeti. It's just a rumor at this point, but I love that. I love, Jeff, there's so much conversation about this Ripple thing going on with, have you noticed everybody is super excited about this offer that was made, apparently somewhere between $4 and $5 billion was made to Circle. And it's weird because we haven't really heard anything from anybody at Ripple. Brad Garlinghouse hasn't chimed in. We haven't heard anything from Stu Aldery. So they didn't come in and deny the rumor, right? They haven't said anything about it, which leads me to believe that something's going on. And who's leaking this info to the press? And then the latest one was there's been conversations that 20, and the reason Matt brings this up is because there's conversations about apparently a $20 billion counter offer. Now, I thought to myself, now if you're going to say if you're going to do something, it should be believable. Like you make up a number, it's like 4 to 5 billion. It jumps from 4 to 5 billion to 20 billion. I don't know, man. It seems a little bit unbelievable. I don't know that, and I don't know that that's necessarily true, but I thought this was a great post by Moonchaser that kind of really captures the entire sentiment here. Let's take a look at this here. She said, Ripple allegedly tried to buy Circle, and suddenly we're all M&A, merger and acquisition experts.
That's right. Everybody's an expert.
Of course, we're an expert.
We're all experts, Chip. We all know about. Well, the thing is, if you workshop it, if you analyze it, and you look at it, and you have zero facts, you weren't in the room, then of course you're an expert.
Of course. I think that deems you an expert, Jeff. I think that's the definition of expert right there.
It's definitely the definition of expert. If you look in the dictionary of experts,
of XRP influencers, yeah, that makes you the expert, right? It's like if you weren't in the room, you don't know what's going on. Of course, you're an expert. And of course, I chimed in and I said, "I'm like, who is we?" I'm like, "Who's we?" This throwing that around pretty loosely, and so it's like,
we are experts.
There it is, right there. You.
They. Well, it's they. Chip. It's we and they.
We and they. That's my new.
They always talk about it, Chip.
Those are my new pronouns.
They always talk about it. Always. They always talk about it. They're always the cause, Chip.
Yeah.
They are always the cause of all the problems.
They are the problem. So it's like those might be my new pronouns, Jeff. We and they.
See this? The king. I'm lying on my couch. I'm an armchair expert. See that?
Damn right you are.
But he's on the couch.
And you're the king. So the king always has to chime in. Of course, why wouldn't the king give the opinion as an expert, right? I mean, there's no other way to think about it, right? I mean, if you think about it.
Yep. Chip, the video actually came together.
Did it?
Yeah. I shortened it.
Oh, good for you, man.
The one song.
I know you weren't going to disappoint.
Over 3 minutes. I don't know what happened with. Have you noticed that you can't contain anything? All of a sudden, the music is more important than the lyrics. I got to figure out the prompting is all messed up. It's different.
Yeah. Well, I like this. I'm a big fan of John Nolte, who is a writer for Breitbart.
John Nolte.
He's funny as hell. Of course, he's altered it by calling himself John Ocasio Rodham Nolte. So, but his pronouns are Trump and one. and I don't know. You guys should really ought to follow him. He's at Nolte NC in North Carolina. But he's funny, man. The stuff he posts. A second from the B. He's probably one of the. Geez, I'm just going through his feed right now, and he's brutal too. He's brutally, and he knows he has his pulse. The guy is like a movie buff, and he's got thousands of Blu-ray DVDs, and he's got this massive collection. So he'll chime in about everything. He writes reviews on new movies, and he pokes at all the woke stuff, and He also put this up. He's like, I didn't only laugh at people who allowed themselves to be manipulated and panicked by the market flux after Trump announced the tariffs. I took advantage of your retardation to buy stock at the sale price. Y'all stupid. So, and of course, the media was continuing to push that narrative that, everything, the sky's falling and the tariffs and everything. It's like, why are people pushing back so hard on this, Jeff? Like, you're wondering, why are they pushing back so hard? And I was like, well, do you not want to try something new, or do you just want the status quo of how it's always been and always been crappy and always been bad? So moving right along to some XDC news. We're just going to filter some more XDC news in here. Prime Numbers Lab put this out. The first audited liquid staking now available on XDC network. 6% APY rewards from the very first second. So here's the audit right here, and there are the docs. So you can see that they put the audit live on this. 6% is not bad right there. So I don't know, but again,
not a bad, not an APY.
No, not bad at all. I mean,
if you're staking,
yeah, it's not a bad thing. But again, there's always going to be some risk associated with that. And Jeff, is this risky? I don't know.
I don't know, Chip.
I'm just wondering, is this something that would this carry some risk at all? I mean,
is it risky? 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 Is it risky?
I think it might be. So, but you got to basically go, at your own pace here. So, there you go. Is it risky?
The king loves XDC, and he's an expert.
He's an expert, so take it from the king. He knows. And if you ever saw The History of the World Part 1, famous line out of that movie, old movie, it's good to be the king. It's good to be the king, man. Here's
almost not late. There we go. See that? Almost not late. You're almost late, but since we started promptly at 8:21, you're not late so much.
Yeah, so you're actually on time, as they say. So here's what you need to know. So the XDC network achieves omnichain interoperability with the Layer 0 integration in April 2025. XDC network integrated Layer 0's core messaging protocol, enabling seamless cross-chain communication. The advancement allows smart contracts on XDC to interact directly with various networks without relying on wrap tokens or centralized bridges, enhancing the development of the omnichain applications. And you're seeing so much of this going on, and other chains as well, but the interoperability, which we've talked about for years, Jeff, but it's so key. Also the launch of the tokenized money market funds in partnership with Archax, in collaboration with the digital asset exchange Archax, launched the tokenized versions of 4 major money market funds. This is also big. From providers included Arbrand, Fidelity International, BlackRock, and State Street. So it's like this stuff is going on. And it's like, it's just under the radar. But you think about this is just, phenomenal, right? But there's Archax. We've talked about Archax before. It's the UK's first regulated real world asset exchange, custodian, broker, and registered crypto exchange. So this is big. Look at these names right here.
Should look them up. Are they still around considering everything going on in the UK? Is it possible for the UK to take a leadership role in this new financial ecosystem?
Well, according to Cassie Craddock, that is exactly what is rumored to be happening. And if you know, Ripple is one of their big presence is in the UK. It's one of their bigger operations outside of the Middle East, the EMEA area. So it's and again, when this lawsuit was going on, they were building and hiring outside of the United States because it was pretty much dead here. You have XDC Network's DeFi total value locked reached an all-time high. So as of early 2025, the total value locked in the XDC Network DeFi ecosystem reached a record high of 31 million, marking a significant increase from the previous levels. Part of the growth attributed to the expansion of XDC's DeFi protocols, including Fathom FI, the XSwap protocol, and then the Wi-Fi, reflecting increased adoption and investment in the network's decentralized finance offerings. Then you have the launch of the XDC Web3preneur ACK Invest program. So they launched the partnership with Blockon, backed by XVC's Tech $125 million fund, announced an XDC Web3preneur ACK Invest program. This accelerator and venture builder is an initiative designed to support early stage Web3, crypto AI, blockchain startups in Asia. It offers milestone-based funding, tailored acceleration. It's a pretty big fund. Wouldn't it be amazing if we saw something like that happen from Ripple, that they launched a $125 million fund? You don't hear anything about that.
Nothing. Well, again, Ripple's primary focus is, guess who?
Ripple?
Oh, there we go.
I knew it.
You're an expert.
You're
a Ripple expert. Well, it's amazing. They should be, right?
They should be. That's who they're looking out for, So what I liked about this this update here too is I always see somebody talking about something, but if you're gonna talk about it, either put it in the main. The fact that these were sourced properly here, that they put the sources that were coming on with it, or put it in the second panel, because I always hate, like, I can't corroborate the story. I see a lot of politics. Breaking, something happened. Okay, what source are you quoting? Where is this happening? And a lot of times you can't talk about it because it's just hearsay because of the experts.
Or all the 589 chip.
And also, when Sean of the XDC chimes in, I know it's good. I know Sean, so this is a really good thing. So if you see him chiming in here, the guy's he's a core member of the XDC network, Zinfin.org. So the guy, he's plugged in. He speaks a lot on XDC. So when he says good research, that's how I know it's corroborated by somebody who knows the space really well, better than us. And he talks about that. So it's pretty. That's also some additional one, but always put the sources in there, man. Don't. Why? And then the other one is they share a screenshot, Jeff. This is the other big thing that I love. Somebody shares a screenshot of a news story. Just post the news story.
Right.
And if you want to cite that part of it, then
that's great. Just
then
copy
under that, just put the screenshot above, and then hey, below is the source.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be hunting around. I got to take that exact story to see if I can.
You see it a lot. Yeah.
It's just a lot of garbage, Jeff.
It's a lot, Chip.
It's a whole thing. It's a whole kind of a garbage type of thing. X marks the spot. You got XDC. Margaritas. You got XRP, right?
XRP, XDC.
To well with the Yeti. In the meantime, I'm shopping. Well, good for you. Go ahead and just get some shopping done. It's good you can multitask like that. Fantastic.
And it's early day over there. It's not too
it's like afternoon, right?
That's right.
It's afternoon.
It is afternoon over there.
It's a beautiful day. It's the weather's breaking everywhere. Really happy about that.
Man, I'm dying to play this now. It's a short one. Here.
All right.
Let's play this. We got to just roll into this.
Let's do it, dude.
All right.
No kings, no leash, just rage and snow. Titans rise where the brave won't go. Ash on their breath, ice in their stare. Half goofus here, you best beware. He stomps the ground, the silence breaks. Frost line shakes wherever he wakes. Forged in cold, he don't forgive. When titans strike, only legends live. What's in your grip? It's time to slay. Sun and wallet loaded today. Mount your beast, unlock your fame. This ain't a game, it's the badass name.
Nice. That had a la 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 la. The little dance was too much, though.
It was a little much.
The little dance. I like when he dances. That was pretty good. Joe Buddy liked it.
La 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 la.
By the way, did you know that Yeti thing is rigged? I knew
it's definitely rigged.
Justin's
so type in Yeti. Type in Yeti.
Yeti's in there. Yeti's in there. Rigged, baby, rigged. It's rigged. Let me see what we have. Let's do the Yeti official update count. We've got 19. Ooh, this is a pretty quick start.
19. Look at that.
That's a quick start. Quick start to the morning. Let's talk about this. So, continuing the Ripple Crypto Minute, we have Stu Aldery checking in. He's going to give an update and what his thoughts are about this SEC case, only as Stu can, as general counsel of Ripple. But here's a short, they call it the Crypto Minute, but just like when I used to do the XRP Minute, which brought me into this whole streaming world, they were never a minute long. People would always be like, Chip, that's about 3.5 minutes. I'm like, that's really hard to get into a minute. So I don't think I ever had a crypto minute, the XRP minute that was actually a minute long. But if you notice, the White House does the week in review minute, and oftentimes it's a little bit longer than a minute as well.
Right.
Ooh, I love that Badass Yetis underneath that.
It's cool, right?
Badass Yetis. It is nice because we can't get dinged for our original song.
That's right.
Let's go listen to Stu. Let's hear his minutes, whatever this crypto minute is. Let's listen to this.
Oh, good. I condensed 6 years of my life into 60 seconds.
Cheers.
Hi, this is Stu Aldery, and this is Crypto in a Minute. So why did the SEC drop its appeal against Ripple? I think the real question is, why did they bring the case at all? The SEC has not only dropped its appeal against Ripple, they've now dropped every case against every crypto company in the United States. Why? Because the SEC has now admitted what we've always been saying, that you can't bring enforcement actions for violating the law without first explaining what the law is, and we never had clear laws, rules, and regulations regarding crypto in this country. So we're going to clean up the mess, we're going to get out of the courtroom, we're going to get back to running business, and we're going to now press forward working with Congress to get smart crypto regulation in place that protects consumers, that protects the integrity of the market, that keeps bad actors out, and most importantly, allows the innovation to flourish.
There you go. More importantly,
Want them to flourish.
you know what's really funny about this? They left the template in there for YouTube. That's the YouTube template where you put the what's next, and you add the things on there. We know this because, but you're like, what are those things for? Well, that's the template. So that there's these boxes are supposed to be the placement for. But it's funny. I guess if we pull it up on YouTube, we'll find out that those boxes were. No, Stu's not out of a job. Stu's the general counsel. You're always going to need general counsel to navigate.
Still lots of legalese.
It's
deal
not.
with.
But one of the things that I liked about this that Stu coined here, it's interesting because he's sort of officially named what 2025 is. And I kind of like this. Seems like almost like a mantra for what 2025 is. Stu Aldery said that 2025 is the year of moving forward. And I can see that in so many ways, right? We have a new president, right? We have a new outlook on crypto. We have a lot of bipartisanship happening, not only in the House, but also the Senate. We have, if there's anything that's bipartisan that can come together, we've seen it happen and develop with crypto, which has been sort of an eye-opener because the other party, typically the Democrats, were so against it. But now you're seeing that with the election results and how many people, especially how many, I guess when you look at the stats, 1 out of 5 people in the U.S. own crypto, or is it 2 out of 5, Jeff? It's 2 out of 5. It's so. I think it was. I think
we were heading closer. I don't know if we hit 50% yet.
No, maybe it's. Yeah, I think it's like 2 out of 5.
Number. Yeah.
Just below 50%. But you saw that the PACs, the political action committees that had the effect on candidates, and a lot of the candidates that were pro crypto won. So you can't deny that. Although when you see, that you can run all kinds of fake polls you want, and you can position anything you want out there as far as what the if you want to create a result, you poll a certain group of people and you get the answer you want with leading questions. I don't even like a lot of the poll questions because they're almost often leading as well. So that's always a kind of a Debbie Downer. But let's play this video here. This is Ripple and their presence in the Middle East and Africa. Yeah.
The Middle East and Africa is one of the most promising regions in the world for enterprise crypto development and adoption. The United Arab Emirates is one of the first countries in the region to provide regulatory clarity for the industry. We are proud to be the first blockchain-enabled payment service provider to be licensed by the Dubai Financial Services Authority.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive in itself. And that speaking right there was Reese Merrick, and he's the managing director for the EMEA region for Middle East and Africa. So it's grateful to be leading this incredible region for Ripple. And if you think the first blockchain-enabled payment service provider licensed by Dubai Financial Services Authority, it's pretty big, and it's a pretty, again, other stuff that's sliding under the radar. Let's see. Yeah, there was more over here, I think. Yeah, so they wrote a whole article about it. They had the little clip, but they talk a little bit about, strengthening the presence in the Middle East. In 2020, the Dubai office opened. That's where Ripple opened an office. The DFSA licensing approval allows Ripple to offer fully regulated cross-border payments in the United Arab Emirates for business operating in the 400 billion trade hub, one of the world's largest, and a 40 billion remittance market, which means expanded access to faster, more cost-effective and transparent international transactions. So again, it's an important place for Ripple to be, especially on the payment front, Jeff. When it comes to the Ripple payments and of course RLUSD, which is Ripple USD, the stablecoin, that'll be will also have a big impact there as well. So again, just kind of showing you a little bit about what's going on out there in the world. You kind of teased this early on, Jeff, but I want to get your opinion on this. Cassie Craddock, who is she's the managing director over at Ripple. I know she's over there in the UK. She said it's been a fantastic UK fintech week so far, capped off by a very welcome news of draft legislation from the UK Chancellor on the Honorable Rachel Reeves. She's an MP there. It's a clear signal of intent from the government to position the UK as a global leader for digital assets. Well, let's stop right there, Jeff. Positioning the UK, she's the Chancellor of the, what the hell is that word, dude? Squish. I don't even know. Can you pronounce that, Jeff? What this is?
Chancellor of the Exchequer. Exchequer.
Exchequer. I don't even know what that is. I hope someone's from the UK that can assist with this. I don't even know what that is.
What is an exchequer?
I don't know what that means. Do you? I mean, I'm gonna have to Google this one. Let me see. That is
used to be a checker, but is now X of the checker.
All right, so that's a royal or national treasury, British bank account, which
how do you pronounce it?
The money's Exchequer. It's called Exchequer.
Is it X?
That's what it says. X.
Hit the play button. So see what it says.
Oh, you have to. It's Exchequer. You won't hear it, but I hear it.
Oh yeah, learn to pronounce
Exchequer. Exchequer is what it is. Exchequer. So we learned something new today.
But it's an E.
Well, that's how it's pronounced. I don't know, man. They make they invented the language. They make the rules. I mean, I don't know.
They changed the rules apparently.
Exchequer. So that's what it means.
Exchequer.
Exchequer. So anyway, so Rachel Reeves, an MP there, Chancellor of the Exchequer, MP for Leeds West, and Putsey, former Bank of England economist. That tells you everything you need to know right there. Former Bank of England economist. Speaking of Bank of England, we got Mark Carney, who's the global. Well, let's not get into that. I don't even want to go there, Jeff. I said I wouldn't go there today. I don't want to go there. I saw some disturbing news that it's going on. It's gone. You can expect to crash pretty soon. At Ripple, we see a huge opportunity here. It's why the UK is one of the largest office hubs outside of the US, with year-on-year investment into the operations and talent. And the draft legislation shows positive signs of the UK capitalizing on its second mover advantage, proposing an agile, global, competitive regulatory framework that reflects the borderless nature of blockchain. UK has the chance. That's the key word right there. Has the chance to lead. Now it's the time to move at pace. Yep. Read more of my comments to CNBC here. But Jeff, what are your thoughts on this here in some of the movement that's talking about, which is potentially showing a positive sign?
So, I mean, there's a couple components to it. In order for us to see any kind of progress within the space, there has to be some regulatory guidance. If, the UK is taking the lead for some sort of regulatory guidance and it's happening at a fast pace, or now they're saying it needs to happen at a fast pace, now I think there could potentially be competition between US progress and UK progress without the presence of our current existing administration in the US. I don't see anything else like this progressing at rapid pace. I don't think there would be the same urgency over in England, let's say, if we didn't see progress here in the US. The fact that the handcuffs are now off of Ripple as a global entity with its base operation out of the US allows this development at pace. And so and the other thing is, I believe that all of the countries are on notice as well. So now that the handcuffs are off US development, right? So because we're going to see, and we're starting to see, regulatory guidance coming through, and I believe it's going to happen faster and faster as we enter into 2026. Probably not happening 100% this year, but who knows? We'll start seeing little drops. 2026 is probably going to be the most pivotal year. The UK is preparing, and that's exactly what they're seeing. Because if the US moves, the UK has to move. Without the US, UK initiatives don't really matter as much, so I think that's a big part of it, because this is a global initiative, so that's a big component. Mike is saying UK doesn't have the balls to take the lead on this. They would have to guide Nest on this, so I think, again, without the US, you don't see a lot of progress. And I think that's a big part of this. But I'm happy to see it. We've seen all these years, Chip, we've seen major development in the Middle East, in Europe, and they've kind of dipped, their toe or their foot into the water to say, hey, we believe in this. We believe in the direction of this economic ecosystem, this new economic class, financial asset, and we want to see progress. We're moving in that direction. We've seen some niceties from a regulatory perspective in different countries and different areas. We've seen development in different countries while the U.S. lagged behind. The thing is, if we had any other administration in office right now, we'd probably see progress happening at like a snail's pace. But the difference with our existing administration is everything is happening at light speed, and all these other countries are now playing catch up. And so they were already a little further ahead, but the gap is now closed. Now they're not further ahead. And actually now we take a big step, they're all falling behind because we're welcoming freedom again. We're trying to shed the errors of the past. Sometimes you have to have a little pain to get the good. And so that's kind of the direction we're moving in. Now, it's kind of a more in-depth viewpoint or look at it, but there's too many moving pieces to just say, hey, is this, what's going on with the UK with this? It's good. The short answer, it's good, but for the US, it wouldn't be happening. How about that?
Well said. I got nothing. I got no follow up on that.
Yeah.
What happened to me? Did I freeze up here?
Oh yeah, shoot.
What the hell happened here? It's weird. I look startled.
Chip is gone. He's frozen and gone. So let's go through some of the comments here, because I think these are really key. And James is saying Australia will be 5 years behind global change as usual. Australia had an opportunity, but they bought into all of the nonsense. We've seen a lot of controlled nonsense happening, and the political, the freedom is also very critical when we consider economic freedom. Because if you take away freedom of speech, freedom of movement, freedom of control over your own health, economic freedom is meaningless. Your economic freedom really is not, it no longer bears any significance, because you don't have any other freedoms in and around your life, your existence. So, we've seen this in countries like go to China. How many people within China have access to any kind of wealth? And those that achieve a certain amount of wealth, how many of them are then dictated by and controlled by the government? Or if you have a company that reaches certain proportion, certain size, the government comes in and takes a board seat because you're subject to the government. In the UK, people don't have freedom of movement. But beyond that, they don't have freedom of thought in the UK. And we're seeing this roll out. So if you can't post something on social media as a thought, and then they come and they harass you while the people, the citizens are being harassed by foreign interlocutors, coming into the country that don't care about the development and further future of the country. They're there to take, they're there to harass, and so this is what's been happening throughout Europe, throughout the US, obviously in the UK. All these things are all, a big component of it. So you can't have, I guess, one without the other. So we need our freedoms, we need our liberties, we need to be able to live and exist within our country without being susceptible to the speech police and everything else, because then our financial, especially from a decentralized perspective, you think if they're going to take away your freedom of speech, they want you to have decentralized finance. I mean, that's a joke, right? So we don't have to go too far. We can look to our northern border up in Canada, and we'll see what they do. because they're pretty excited about taking away everybody's freedoms up in Canada. And so first your health, then your financial, and they'll take every component of your existence away from you. They want centralized control across the board. DeFi, decentralization doesn't factor into any of those conversations, Chip.
I mean, it's funny because everybody pretends, and even the trolls that hit me up on X when I say like, okay, go ahead and post this meme. I'm not really into memes. Of course you're not. Go ahead and post it, and go ahead and put Keir Starmer on it, please. And if you're not into memes, go ahead and here's something you could post to criticize, the UK and Prime Minister Keir Starmer. Talk about this. Oh, I'm not really. Of course, because you spend 3 years in the big house. You'll be in the Clink. And it's funny. I never really knew the derivative where the Clink came from until I was walking in London with my English buddy, one time, and we were going. He goes, you see that? You know what that is? And I'm like, no. He goes, that's the Clink, and it was that's where that derived from, a big jail in London. And I was like, oh shit, that's where the Clink came from. I never really knew that, but there you go. You learn something new all the time. Fred Hoffman checks in. There he is. Good morning. It's interesting because I want to show this. Basically, it's on topic here. Let me see if I can locate the one of the million tabs I have open. This is the tab management thing, but this was posted here by Marco Rubio. Rubio's been killing it. I've been very impressed with him, not holding back. He seems to have been doing very well. And the reason this came to my attention was because Elon Musk had said, I'm never deleting this app, because everybody always says that. Of course, it's his app, so he's never deleting it. But this is it. This is Germany's foreign ministry answer Rubio about the potential ban of the AfD party. That's the party that's the underdog, whatever. So Secretary Marco Rubio said Germany just gave its spy agency new powers to surveil the opposition. That's not democracy. It's tyranny in disguise. What is truly extremist is not only the popular AfD party, which took second in the recent election, but rather the establishment's deadly open border immigration policy. And the German Foreign Office chimed in and said, this is democracy. The decision is the result of a thorough and independent investigation to protect our constitution and the rule of law. It's an independent courts that will have the final say. We will have learnt from our history that right-wing extremism needs to be stopped. This right here is an epic little workshop in stupidity, okay? This is democracy. And this is what Jeff and I talk about all the time on this channel, that and I've gotten pushback from a German national that's in this space and constantly talking about, Trump, orange man bad, all this kind of stuff. Now, what's interesting here is that what I brought up many times and what we've talked about is that the U.S. Constitution is the only constitution of every country that was written by the people for the people. Every other one was written by government. Every other one protects government. The Constitution of the United States protects the rights of the people, and it limits the power of the government. And it's the only one. And then coming up on 250 years, 2026 will be the July 4, 2026, the 250th anniversary of the U.S. And so in 250 years, no one said like, I wonder if we can rethink what we're doing and maybe pattern some of it after what the U.S. Constitution. Nah, why would I do that? That's a stupid idea, Jeff. Why would you do that? But what is your thought on this? I mean, can you imagine that you would volunteer for stupid? Like you would actually put this out and think this didn't reinforce exactly what Marco Rubio is saying, and then you double down on stupid. Like, what are your thoughts on this response here, Jeff?
This is democracy. This decision is the result of a thorough and independent investigation into the protection of our Constitution and the rule of law. It is independent courts that will have the final say. We have learned from our history that right-wing extremism needs to be stopped. All you have to do is just look at that last part of it, because you could. Well, I would say let's look at the sandwich. This is democracy. We don't live in a democracy. That's number one.
We don't, but they do.
Right. Yeah, I guess they do somehow. But take that out. Take out. We've learned from history that right-wing extremism needs to be stopped. Take that part out, because what exactly is right-wing extremism? What are they referring to?
Hitler is what they're
because
referring to. That he was a right wing, and that's what
he
everything's
wasn't
a right.
right wing.
But this is what the position
he
is,
was
though.
left. Right,
No,
I
but
get
this
it.
is the
I know.
that's the position, Jeff. I'm
He was
just
a
what he's
leftist socialist. You know, and so, you know, this is the problem. This is the when the basic political infrastructures aren't understood, these are the type of comments that you end up seeing, because they cross over in the wrong directions. And can there be similarities on, you know, on from a right wing and a left wing? I think if you go far to the extreme, it circles back and they mirror each other. Right? You could have kind of a right wing totalitarianism would be probably based in religion and religious control. Left wing is going to be based uh, on socialism and communism, and yet at the same time, you know, so you have like totalitarian doctrine on both end caps. That's where you kind of have to come and figure out where you're going to be kind of right of center. But that's if you wanted to look at right wing extremism, it would have to be more, you know, based on religious, not, you know, right versus left. Left falls into, will typically, you know, fall into that social communist. But if you really want to look right, then you want to look, you know, conservative constitutionalist, you know, that would be different. You want to go as far right as possible, then you're going to be limited government, adherence to the Constitution, adherence to the letter of the law, you know, and the letter of the law, you know, based on the Constitution and the higher power, you know, that there would be an existence of a higher power beyond man, which would be the existence of God, right? That you know, speaks at a higher level than man. And so, you know, there has to be, you know, component to that. But, you know, but this is where they never talk about that part. They never talk about, you know, constitutional representation, you know, limited government, you know, being on the right. You know, they just immediately go, because the left is so steeped in communist rhetoric and socialism, they understand their mindset. And they're like, well, if we're thinking this way and we want to control people, that of course the right wing, you know, those guys are all, you know, religious zealots that want to, you know, influence and cram their ideals down people's throats, because that's exactly what the left do. You know, so this is, but then they want to label things a certain way, because then it makes the constitutionalists or anybody that is on the right that believes in limited government, they want to label them a certain way and make them look bad. And this is, you know, throughout our education system, and it's really complex, you know, and it just doesn't make any sense that we keep allowing this to be perpetrated, you know, over and over and over again, you know, but this is how it's been labeled. You know, so it's, you know, but the naive or the I won't say naive, the miseducated, because it's not uneducated. It was the miseducated, right? The education systems purposely and the media are miseducating people down a certain path. So I think that's what it is.
Man, that was pretty well said. I mean, my goodness, that was right up there. I mean, you kind of have to laugh, because all of these countries, this democracy, and again, democracy is the mob rule. It's not, doesn't protect. We're in a republic where the United States, which actually, you know, when we have, it actually protects the smaller vote, which is why we, you know, we have the electoral college, because otherwise you'd have big cities would just choose who everything's going to vote for. And if you live, like, look at California, if you look outside, if you look at the counties outside of the big cities, you know, San Francisco, Los Angeles, right? San Diego. Well, San Diego is a little bit more on the right side, at least middle to right. But if you look at that, almost the whole state's red. But again, because you got higher density of population living in these big cities, that was the whole reason behind the electoral college, is they didn't want, you know, and back then, I mean, back in the original days, they didn't want, you know, like you know, Pennsylvania, you know, or like the bigger cities back then selecting or having all the power. So again, it protects the smaller minority sort of a thought process and vote, and which is a different way to look at it altogether. But I just thought that was pretty telling, pretty good there. Let's see what else we have here. I wanted to get into, so I'm going to do a time check here. We're about 45 minutes in. I'm going to save some of this stuff for tomorrow night. We'll probably circle back. But I did want to do this one because you had teased it earlier, but Crypto Eddie put this out. And if you guys aren't following her, you really need to be. She's at Sento Sumo Saba. But if you just type in Crypto Eddie, you will find her. But she does the best research in the space. She says, don't read too much into my comment, but it's interesting that Tether was at the Ripple hosted stablecoin breakfast roundtable yesterday, but not Circle. And so, there's the roundtable, and you got Tether has a seat at the table. But for some reason, Circle was not there. It doesn't mean they weren't invited, doesn't mean anything really, but it is interesting that just for the fact that Tether was there. And well, I mean, they would be invited. They're one of the major, you got Tether and you have Circle, the two biggest of the stable coins, Jeff. But, it's interesting that, the stablecoin standard, there you go. Yeah. So there's Christian Walker of the stablecoin standard right there, what you see right there in the background. But it is an interesting, it is interesting in a lot of ways, don't you think, Jeff? In a sense,
Very interesting.
I mean, I don't know. No one, like, again, she's saying don't read too much into it, but it is just an interesting observation. And who knows? I don't know where this was held. I don't know if Circle was invited, didn't make it, but it is a little bit surprising. I think that Tether's there, and Tether has a big collab with Flare as well. So you see a lot of that going on with that being integrated, but yet again, not Circle or RLUSD, but Tether is making a big sort of a collab.
Yeah. Well, that it's interesting too, because, within this, if Ripple is looking for another big acquisition, it's about market share. Taking on the project. They've got the cash. They want to apply the cash somewhere, figure out what they can do. It's an interesting play. They got to get the RLUSD out there. If they get acquisition, they get acquisition of holdings of whatever's supposed to be, backing up the product, whatever's sitting in treasury somewhere, and so it's an interesting dynamic shift. I want to see Ripple, go after some financial institutions. Obviously they need the technology, but there'll be some other bigger acquisitions, I believe, now that, the shackles have been released. So there's going to be bigger movement. If their movement is going to be more in the crypto space, it looks like it's more in the stablecoin space. I think over the years that we've been talking about this, now we're seeing a major shift, right? It was all about, what they could do with the engine, what they could do with the XRPL, what they could do with XRP. This is what everyone's been focused on this entire time. This 4-year lawsuit has been an eye-opener, for many different levels. The fact that they're rolling out the stablecoin, the influence that the stablecoin can take, all the work that they did previously in creating infrastructure for CBDCs. They were there to create infrastructure for it. Obviously, that's kind of died out. There really is not going to be so much of a concentrated effort on central bank digital currency. And so now the trajectory is changing. Market share is required. They went after Circle, go after Tether, keep pushing, try to get the RLUSD out there. Ripple is dynamic with big financial institutions. Ripple has been relatively weaker in relation to others out there with individual community building and with retail, and so the RLUSD stepping into retail, do they have to be first? Can they be? They're not going to be last, because obviously there'll be others after that. Movement is required, but again, I think they're bigger within financial institution that they are within retail, and so where, what's their big play? I think their big play is staying big institution, big money movement, having, allowing for liquidity, rapid transaction, new technology, movement, B2B, financial institution, as well as big business, streamlining what that flow looks like, understanding the dynamic shift politically around the world. BRICS was dead on arrival. We knew that. And so all of these countries still require a movement. They require technology. BRICS nations none of them have been good at building this kind of technology or having any kind of global stabilization or stabilizing power or recognition from around the world to say, hey, yeah, we love BRICS. We want to be part of this, other than it being an antagonist to the previous administration, which was pushing countries away at a rapid pace. Now we have leadership back in the world. We have stable economies growing back in the world. People are upset because of the whole tariff thing, but that's creating independent regulation across the globe. People are waking up that you have to be self-reliant, and part of self-reliance is decentralization. So the whole circle is coming back together, and we're moving into the golden age, Chip. And this is this is the circle.
I like the circles coming together, not the circle, not the stablecoin circle you're just talking.
No, not the stable.
Yeah.
The circle.
Look at this right here. So this is the National Cryptocurrency Association. While nearly all U.S. crypto holders have heard of Bitcoin, awareness of a wide range of other tokens and protocols is growing. Crypto adoption and long-term success depend on people really understanding and supporting the broad range of tokens and protocols. So let's look at the popularity and knowledge of top crypto. So I'm going to have to zoom out of this to see it. But on the left here, we have Bitcoin, 99% awareness. I mean, it's a household word. There's 1% that's never heard of Bitcoin, Jeff. They don't know Bitcoin. What's Bitcoin? So 99% of people at least have awareness around it. And then 85% have either used it or have acquired it. So there's that of the people polled. Now remember, this isn't the entire of the people that were polled. Then you have ETC. Look at Doge is pretty high with 91% awareness and 48% usage or acquisition. USDC, which is amazing at 99% and 85% acquisition. So you asked, you said this earlier of why would they want Circle? Because of course, yeah, it's going to be market share, but the awareness of knowing 99%, almost 85%, it's exactly right in line with Bitcoin. So right behind Bitcoin, you've got USDC, you got Solana here at 76% and 44% acquisition. And then you have XRP, 67%, and then 23% of people actually purchase it. So, it's growing, but it's interesting to see, what that looks like on this report. So it's kind of cool that they're doing this, digging deeper in there, because otherwise we're just guessing at what we think it is. I thought that was pretty remarkable on a lot of areas there. Wanted to see what else we have here. Let's see, running out of time here.
Well, got a new video coming too.
A new video, geez, man. Holy cow. Let me go ahead and look at this. Let's go look at so Trump gave the commencement speech at Alabama, and so this was like one of his just excerpts here.
Graduates of the Alabama class of 2025 standing here before you in this magnificent arena, it is clear to see the next chapter of the American story will not be written by the Harvard Crimson. It will be written by you, the Crimson Tide. True. That's true.
Dude, that was a great line right there, I mean, I don't necessarily know that he wrote it, but I mean, I think it was so the Harvard Crimson is their sort of like what used to be a newspaper, now it's the website, but that's called the Harvard Crimson. And of course, the football team, Alabama is known as the Crimson Tide. So I love that little sort of how he
it's clear to see the next chapter of the American story will not be written by the Harvard Crimson. It will be written by you, the Crimson Tide.
Oh, they love that line. They love that line.
That's true.
Imagine Trump speaking at your commencement address.
I thought that was rather clever. If you look at what's going on, they get their $5 billion a year. That is not going to be so forthcoming. Now, wasn't that a clever one, though? Huh? Who would think of that?
So, what's funny about this, too, is that he just revoked he's floated the idea of giving them their tax exemption by taking that away as well.
Yep.
And all of these universities, Jeff, have been dabbling in all this garbage, right? I mean, we've seen it, we witnessed it. It's just been ridiculous.
Yeah, it's so crazy. It really is crazy to see the direction. Well, you saw, what was the executive order that was signed yesterday, taking away money from NPR?
Yeah, I got that one here. I got that story right here.
That was a big
Let's
one.
see.
That there was I watched a video from Mr. Rogers in front of Congress reading one of his songs. He spoke in front of Congress and got $20 million, for PBS. The thing is, PBS during Mr. Rogers' day and today are two different entities.
Oh yeah,
Back
of course.
then, Mr. Rogers was wholesome, and it projected a very nice message. For anyone in the U.S. who grew up with Mr. Rogers, is something that you looked forward to. I think it was early morning, while you're getting ready for the day. And then, people overseas, I don't know if you had a comparable Mr. Rogers, but it was very impactful. Now, where we're at, forget about it. PPS, and NPR has been a joke for a long time. So, man, look at that. How great would that have been? Could you imagine?
Reagan gave your commencement address. Okay, well, that's pretty damn strong right there. That's amazing.
Could you imagine that, dude?
Roll tariffs. I love that right there. Yeah, there's some other comments that I wanted to get to here. He was talking about that we were talking about the German, official response. But Chad says, "You'll forgive me for not believing the country that started World War I and World War II." Mark Smithson said, "Grape nuts will give you freedom of movement every time. Trust me." If you don't know, grape nuts is a heavy fiber cereal.
I used to
here in
love
the
grape
US.
nuts. I'll tell you what, growing up, Chip, when I was
Brush your
younger,
teeth.
before
it was so freaking hard.
Yep. Before we moved overseas, it was I remember being young, and the only sugar cereal that my mother would let me get like once a month was like Cheerios or Rice Krispies. Like that was it.
And dude, that had barely that was like the lowest of the sugar.
That was the lowest of the sugar, right? The typical cereal that we'd have would be grape nuts, right? I was allowed to have grape nuts, shredded wheat, but not the mini shredded wheat. It was the big shredded wheat.
Oh, those are the best, dude. But then you put tons of sugar on their milk.
But I wasn't allowed to have sugar, right? So
Oh,
it was
shit.
just milk. So shredded wheat, and then there was another one. Man, I can't remember. There was who was on the cover of it? There was another one. It was like red, white, and blue, and it was in a box, had a little metal
Wheaties?
fold down on it. No, it was a
Wheaties?
littler box. Shoot, I can't remember what it was called.
Oh, I
But
know.
it was in the
something
stores here
flakes.
for a while. Yeah, it was in the store here for a little while, and then they changed the box. I think it's gone. I mean, I haven't really gone down a cereal aisle in a long time in a grocery store. So I would have to go back and look and see if they still have
I
it.
think I know the
But
one you're talking about, but it's another
had-
natural cereal.
it's
like
a natural cereal, and they had the guy on the cover with the red, white, and blue hat, like the flag, and
Uncle Sam.
know,
It was Uncle
Uncle
Sam. Uncle Sam.
Uncle,
was it.
yeah, that's what. Yeah, I don't know, I
That's
couldn't
good
think of
cereal,
this.
man. That was really
That was a
good cereal.
great cereal. I love that one. But those
You're
are
like
the
red,
three I
white,
was
and
allowed
blue.
to have.
I'm like, yeah, Uncle Sam, of course. Uncle Sam
Of
was
course,
it.
yeah.
Of course, it was
That was
Uncle
it.
Sam.
That's what I was allowed to have.
I
Those
think
were
they
my
still
sugar.
have that.
They did for a long time.
No, I think they still have it now. I mean, they don't have the guy on the cover anymore, but they still have Uncle Sam.
Yeah.
Let me see. I'll pull it up here. Uncle Sam is one of the. Is Uncle Sam's healthy? Yes. Original wheat berry flakes, generally considered a healthy
But
option.
see, they changed it. But look how they changed it and made it not so good anymore. I wouldn't eat that.
There it is.
I want Uncle Sam on the cover. Then I would buy that again.
I wonder if I can find the original one with the Uncle Sam on the cover. Let's see if I can find.
We don't
the
even have
original.
cereal in the house anymore. But man, Kicks. The worst. So
Kicks. Yeah, I remember Kicks too.
the only time I was able to get sugar cereal, I remember going to visit my dad, and I would get Pac-Man cereal, Captain Crunch. What else?
I can't even find it, Jeff.
Remember Tricks and Fruit Loops. Oh my God, that's so.
This is what you're talking about right there.
There it is. Yeah, but yeah, that's it.
Remember had the pour spout that you had to like try to pull
pour
that paper
spout,
thing
yeah.
off, and you had to. And sometimes it came out. You pulled it too hard, it just like fell out. And try to get the little metal thing back in there. It's like that was it. But they
Awesome.
used that red stripe thing for a long time. It was just
That's
recently
right.
that they changed it. But yeah, that was it. And
because they
the
wanted to make
Sam.
it more like wholesome and fit into like a Whole Foods type of thing.
Yeah, they didn't want a patriotism and the Whole Foods because the left the crowd wouldn't buy it.
That's
But
right.
this was
Yeah.
like more the one that like the recent one that they had, like, which was this one here, where they
Right.
put that red stripe around the outside. Great
Yep.
multigrains, toasted whole wheat berry flakes, and flaxseed with oat flakes.
Berry flakes. That's what it was.
But it was good
Wheat
though. It
berry
was
flakes.
delicious.
It was really good.
delish.
And I think it wasn't 100% bad for you.
No, it was actually pretty good. But getting back to the, I saw this beautiful
How did we
quote
go down
here.
that path? That just happened.
I don't know. It's everyone there's a squirrel sort of a thing. Tom Nielsen said it's horrifying they'll ban the party just like they did Le Pen and others. Yeah, of course. This is, but don't worry. In the name of democracy and in the name of our Constitution and all this other bullshit. Here we go. Here, this is good going on with Thomas Sowell. This is a great account. It's not run by Thomas Sowell, but it's but Thomas Sowell is a amazing dude. I mean, if you read his books, the guy's spot on about everything. But he said our schools and colleges are laying a guilt trip on all those young people whose parents are productive and who are raising them to become more productive. What is amazing is how easily this has been done, largely because just replacing the word achievement with the word privilege. Again, Thomas Sowell for the win every single time. And this is a guy that you just, he was very popular thought leader. He's older now. I think he might be in his early 90s, but the guy is just a legend. I mean, we should have a Thomas Sowell quote or everything, almost every show, because the guy is just a thought leader when it comes to conservatism. And especially when you look at the old clips from like the 60s and 70s and watching him debate people, man, he just rips them apart, man, just destroys them. But and his books are phenomenal too. He's written a lot of books, but he's a really, and every once in a while you'll see him in an interview. He'll be talking about some more current stuff, especially with Trump. But he has a way of coming and analyzing a situation pretty much better than almost anybody I've said, because just like the great Rush Limbaugh, this is a guy who understands the left more than they understand themselves, and he is easy to very succinctly explain what's happening, because if you know the playbook and you know what they're going to do, he can sort of kind of get you there. And this other one too, this was also on Thomas Sowell quotes, but this is Friedrich Hayek, and he said responsibility has become an unpopular concept, met with outright hostility by those who have been taught that it is nothing but circumstances beyond their control that has determined their position in life. And we see a lot of this happening, obviously, on the left too, right? It's a responsibility. No, anytime you bring up responsibility, it's like, oh no, but it's a circumstance, and somebody it's all this victimhood. And this is exactly what this sort of describes, is that victimhood mentality.
Yeah. Well, and the problem with that is that it's purposeful, right? So they want you to be a victim. The more you believe yourself a victim, the more energy you put out along those lines of being a victim. Guess what happens? You become a victim, right? Everything around you, you're kind of like, it's like a magnetic attraction. If you believe in success and you see yourself as being successful, and you put yourself out as being successful, and you have positive thoughts, positive vibes, and you put yourself in a kind of a position, both mentally, verbally, and situationally, guess what happens? You're going to be successful in your endeavor. You might not be Elon Musk, but you have an opportunity to at least move in that kind of a direction. Whatever you set your mind towards, you're going to succeed. If your mind is negative, you're going to be negative. If you believe you're a victim, you're going to be a victim. If you and it's so succinct and clear. I've been listening to a lot of videos kind of in and around the topic, and then as you start analyzing people around you, and you're like, this guy always complains, and he's always negative, and he always runs into problems, and then you're like, well, what is his mindset? That's the exact mindset that this person automatically goes into a scenario negative, right? And he has a whole negative magnetism around him. It's the energy that you exude outside of your body. And so it's like thought process. If you're positive things happen. You put yourself in a position that you've already succeeded and accomplished, that happens. Think about, you put your mindset on something, you want to go and visualize you're going to purchase something. That's all you think about, right? You're thinking about, I'm going to go buy this, I'm going to visualize it. You start thinking about that you have that possession in your hand, and eventually you go out and you buy it, and it becomes real. Or if you're planning for a vacation, you visualize a vacation, you think about the place that you're going, you look at all the places that you want to go and be, and you map out an entire itinerary. Eventually you end up getting there. Would that be different in the rest of your life? Right? So think about it from a business perspective, even, right? You set your mind that that's exactly your end goal. That's where you already are. So if your objective is whatever status in your business or your career, and that's your visualization, just like you're going on vacation, you visualize yourself walking down the streets of Paris. Eventually you get there, and now you're walking on the streets, but you have to map out the itinerary that's going to get you to your end visualization. Business is the same way. You visualize and you experience it, and you emotionally commit yourself to that visualization, and then you back work all your steps of having to get there. Now I have to put my itinerary together to achieve and accomplish where I need to be. Exactly the same as the vacation, exactly the same as though you're going out to buy something. It all kind of ties in, and you set that positive momentum, in place, regardless of the hurdles that you have to overcome to get to your end goal. You'll get to your end goal. But if you immediately put yourself into a negative mindset, you'll never 100% guaranteed that you'll never get there. We had our sales guys, and I was telling them, I said, look, you have to set up these meetings, right? There's a certain requirement. They have to bring an expert into a meeting. And I said, I'm giving you guys minimum expectation. 1 meeting with a specialist a week, specific product. And I said, you have to do this. I said, but what I can guarantee you is that if you don't set up that meeting, you're going to sell 0% of that product. If you set up a meeting, that's 4 meetings a month, maybe we'll close 50% of that specific product. We're on the track to selling somewhere between 2 to 4, of that product. If you don't set up a meeting, 0. That's a guarantee, right? And so setting the mindset, setting the momentum, setting and experiencing the journey, you're always going to run into hurdles and obstacles along the way. And it's how we, adapt to them. Every hurdle, every obstacle, from what I'm experiencing, if we look backwards and forwards, is another step of learning and education. And you really have to, assume that it's just like, here's where I'm going at this position, moment in my life. I needed this. As hard as the obstacle was, I needed that to happen in my life, because now I'm going around it. I've learned something. I've learned how to accomplish that obstacle, and that's the path that we're going on, and it's really, really important, but victimhood, the purposefulness, they know exactly what they're doing to demean, belittle, and subjugate people. They did it, they do it to different minority groups in the US on purpose. The leftist mentality is victimhood, because they want to control them, and they want to keep them suppressed and oppressed, and that it's such a dehumanizing political concept that it just makes no sense. So once you step into conservatism, and you realize limited government, self-sufficiency, help people, pick themselves up with their boots, by their own bootstraps, and help them, and help them see the way of how they can accomplish and succeed on their own, is so much more powerful than here's handouts. I'm going to keep giving you handouts every month. Just stay in your space and don't speak up, because when you speak up, we're going to allow you to speak up a little, and then we're going to smack you down and put you back in your place. It's a two different polar opposite political concepts.
Yeah, exactly, man. So yeah,
you can only take you serious if you're in a Vickers outfit. What is a Vickers outfit?
Well, you're gonna sort of put that up. There's a couple comments that I wanted to talk about, because it's good back to the cereal conversation. XRP plumbing. This is what I had to eat. I had to eat cream of wheat, which I loved it.
Oh, cream of wheat is also good.
Yeah, I used to eat cream of wheat.
About cream of wheat.
Yeah, so sometimes you put some butter in there or whatever. So my mom would she would always make the not that they came out with instant stuff, that was garbage, but cream of wheat was like the northern alternative to grits, the southern alternative. Down here in the South, we've got grits everywhere, and you don't see cream of wheat, but up north, in the north, it's all cream of wheat, right? So it was like cream of wheat was like the alternative to the southern grits. I love both of them. I'm a big fan of grits as well. Rob McDermott said we had to put honey on those cereals. Yeah, because honey or sugar, because there was none in there. But as you grow older, you want less and less of that. Art on the lake said this: you bring in what you put out, and that's sums up basically what Jeff was just talking about. Is like, yeah, you bring in what you put out. So if you're putting negativity out, you're going to get a lot of negativity back. So if you're putting out positive vibes comes back. Very well said. Chad said happiness is more than a result, more than a journey. It's a choice. Yeah, it is a choice.
That's
you can
true.
choose to be happy, you can choose to be sad, right?
Right.
It's all in your thinking. The Vickers comment still makes me.
Somebody put me in a Vickers outfit.
Yeah, so that'll be like the next big
AI.
thing. I'm gonna use some AI to put you in a Vickers outfit. The Vickers outfit is isn't that the what the judges wear? Vickers. Let's see, Vickers. Oh, let me see if I can look at this. The Vickers.
Dan Crunch, Count Dracula. Oh my
I can't even
god.
find Vickers. I'm probably spelling it wrong. I don't know. Give us some more context on that. I thought that was
Priest.
the
A priest,
yeah, is that what it is?
I guess.
But it's like what they used to wear in the UK in old times,
Vicar.
right? The Vickers. So they used to call them.
I
I
don't know.
don't know. I'm trying to.
We don't live in the UK. We speak American English, Chip.
That's right.
We don't.
We
don't speak-
bastardized the line. We're the majority now, Jeff. So we
That's
we
right.
make
We
the
don't
rules.
speak that old
We
language.
set the rules. We don't
That's right. That was like
People
going
are
to
like, "You don't
Australia. We
speak."
didn't understand their language either.
like we don't use S's. Like that Casey Craddock one that was written. She uses like when you say individualization, we use Z's.
Mhm.
And they use the S's. It's like you
Right.
can immediately pick off that's the old English. We've modernized it by using Z. And if you live in Canada or the UK, it's like Z, and we call it Z.
Yeah, but
X,
Zed
Y,
doesn't-
Z, and Z is dead. Z
That's right,
is
yeah.
dead.
And Z makes more sense than an S too, right? Because it was an unused
But it
letter.
all
We're
makes
like,
it. It all. It
like,
didn't
why
get
did we
any.
have this letter? No one's using it. Let's use it.
No, it didn't get any love, so we changed it. But it's
The
more of a
only
Z
word was
sound,
like
a Z
zebra.
sound than an S sound, right? S is more of a S. So like we
Yeah.
cleaned up the language, dude. That's what we do. Chamath Palabatia put this
Cleaned up
up.
the language.
Clean it up. So he put this post on X. He said, let me get this straight. So energy prices falling with oil around $60. Your 10-year UST yield falling is now back to 4.1%. Zed is not dead, clearly alive. Then you have the U.S. government needed to borrow $53 billion less than forecasted because of money saved by Doge, among other things. Not bad.
Right.
Well, unless you're the Secretary Treasurer of the Treasury under Clinton, then you think it's horrible.
That's
So
right.
here we are. Here's Larry Summers.
Oh no.
Here we go, Jeff, with besties like the All In podcast, which is what he and Chamath. President Donald Trump has a problem on economic policy. Any serious economist or macro investor knows the falling 10-year interest rates and oil prices, along with the falling stock market, we've had a sign of recession fears, not economic strength. See Polymarket for direct evidence. America has lost more relative economic ground in the first 100 days of this administration than any other. We're making America ordinary again. Sad. All you had to do is put a ha after that, and he would have been with Charlie. Sad ha.
Sad, huh?
But this is
He
a bad
obviously
take.
reads Gasparino.
This is a bad take right here, Jeff. This is a really and he, of course, he's a former economist. But if you know all those economists on the left, they're Keynesians. They're completely out of touch with any reality. So people calling this the worst 100
Beyond
days.
books.
I mean, of course, with what happened with the tariffs and stuff. But I mean, people are like, then I'm seeing all this other FUD going on, this fear mongering where look at the ports, they're empty. There's no things coming out. I'm like, we make our own food. People are like, start buying supplies, start stocking up. I'm like, dude, it's the stuff the tchotchkes coming in from China. We're okay if we don't have those for a while. I mean, places like maybe BJ's and Costco may suffer for a while because all that stuff's made in China. But look, you had to do a reset. I've had other people pushing back on me saying, well, Jeff, I mean, this whole thing with the policy and why the U.S. is superpower, why do they have to give a fair shake? I'm like, look, and we don't want your cars and your food is all crappy. And I go, I'll concede on the food thing, but that's why we have RFK Jr. Yeah, our food's garbage. our chicken's garbage. You got bleached chicken, you got horrible meat, you got horrible practice here in the US. But it's not about that. If you don't want our cars, fair enough. But don't charge us exorbitant import, because there may be a few people there that do want the car, right? And if you don't like our cars, good, just remove the tariff on it, or make it reciprocal tariff to what is coming in over here. So the people miss the point. They think it's about the US trying to tip the scales in our favor. No, you don't like our stuff, fair enough, don't buy it. But if somebody wants to buy it, why would they pay a 50% higher cost to import it?
100% in many cases.
100% in many cases. You're right. So you're going to pay double for a car, and especially in the currency that you have. It doesn't make any sense. But of course, Larry Summers has a problem with it. I mean,
well, of course he does. Chip, it's weird too, because for years, the U.S. automotive industry wasn't really on par in terms of their export, right? So they'd go to Japan and say, I don't understand why the Japanese aren't importing enough of our cars, right? At the time when this argument was taking place, we were trying to ship them left-hand drive vehicles, right? But Japan is a right-hand drive society, like most island nations, Australia, Japan, England, elsewhere, a lot of right-hand drive. And so if you try to compete there and ship them left-hand drive, not going to work, so you have to convert it over. The thing is that from that perspective, China and companies, seeking bigger profit with cheaper product has disrupted our economic ecosystem in the US. And this is the one thing that I learned in, years and years ago, and I've probably talked about it before, but it's called the donut theory. The middle of the donut is production, is the building of product. Everything around it is service industry. There's obviously things in between to maintain it. But if you take out production, then you get a donut. Eventually, the donut collapses in on itself because you're no longer producing anything. So what did the United States do? We became a heavy service-oriented industry where we started pushing the manufacturing of product outside of the country, and big product, not just, and critical product. So there's certain things. It's kind of like you think about the horse whip, right? At some point, the horse whip manufacturers, tried to fight, because all of a sudden now you had not just the buggy, but now you had automotive, you had the cars. So the buggies and the horse whip guys, they're like, well, what are we going to do? We can't, make this product anymore because of progress. But then you also have the exporting of certain product, right? Do we need to make broomsticks when we want to make computers? Do you push broomstick manufacturing to another country?
Broomsticks? The hell is...
This is an example, right? So let's say you want to because now let's say we want to make microchips. So is our economy more microchip, or is it more broomstick? And do you then push broomstick to another country to manufacture, to allow them to go through the ecosystem? So that's like the biggest debate. But if you remove all production outside of the country, which is again what happened, they pushed all manufacturing over to China, right? Because they wanted cheap labor, cheap product, in order to increase cost and increase margin. And that's or increase sales price, decrease cost, increase sales price, and increase their margin. And that's exactly what they did on textile, on computer parts, on automotive parts, everything across the board, drywall, lumber, steel, everything became export. First, it was Japan in the 80s with steel, and then it was in the 90s, and then all of a sudden now with China, it's pretty much everything. Pharmaceuticals. If you think about how much we pushed overseas, and if there's anyone out there that doesn't think that what's happening right now is in the best interest of the country and of the people, not just of the US, but of people throughout Europe, the Italian economy was devastated because of textile being moved to China. And if you don't realize that, you don't know that, then go back and research it. Because, if you're in Europe, your economies around Europe are devastated because of that production, right? Hey, Jaguar no longer owned is no longer British owned. Oh yeah, that's right. India owns it. Tata Motors owns Jaguar. Land Rover, guess what? No longer British owned. Oh yeah, it's owned by Jaguar. Chrysler, no longer owned by a U.S. company. It's now owned by an Italian French conglomerate. So there's all this movement going on, but so what? Ownership. Again, service related. You have to bring manufacturing jobs back to the country, and you have to have all levels of the economy within your country. Otherwise, you have the donut theory again, and it collapses in on itself. And that's exactly what we've been witnessing recently, is that the economy was collapsing in on itself because it's not sustainable anymore. You can't have everything moved overseas. And the thing is, if you open up your car door, and you'll see it on U.S. cars specifically, exactly which parts come from China because they're the cheap parts. And you can tell those are the ones that disintegrate, or on brand new cars even. And you're like, oh, that part was obviously, coming in from China. Do we want cheap products or do we want quality products? My grandmother always told me, don't buy cheap clothing just to have volume of clothing in your closet. Buy one expensive thing, two expensive things, figure out how to wear it. You're going to be accepted better wherever you go because, and the quality is going to last longer. That's what she always told me. She always said, buy one thing expensive instead of 5 things that are cheap. What did our economy do? They forced everyone to buy 5 things that are cheap because now if you want something quality like shoes, a number of years ago, you could get shoes made in Italy for like $100 to $200, like high quality, really good dress shoes. Now go and try to find dress shoes made in Italy for $100, $200. They're all made in China and cheap. They went from leather soles to rubber soles. Now if you want a good quality pair of Italian shoes, look around. I did that a couple years ago. $400, $500, $600. Who's spending $400 or $500 on a pair of shoes? I'm afraid to spend that, because I know that as soon as I walk out the door and step off a curb, I'm scuffing my leather shoe on something.
Yeah, Rubber Soul was a great, but you guys admit, Jeff, Rubber Soul was a great Beatles album. Just saying.
Oh yeah, yeah. Plus, I'll tell you what, leather soles. I had leather shoes on, and I put them on, and they were leather soles. Holy crap! I almost killed myself. I was walking. I walked out of the hotel room. I was walking down the thing, and they had like
carpet's the worst, dude.
Yeah, I was walking. It was like, boom! I almost killed myself. I was like, okay, no more. Then
it's a mess.
I was like, all right.
So Charles Tabarella says, Jeff Rant and Captain Crunch for the win. So there you go.
Captain Crunch.
Of course, Mike says, yeah, 100% Jeff agrees with you. Don't talk about donuts. So the American police forcefully will subscribe you and you have a Yeti or bacon, for that matter. So, but Jeff, you talked about stupid things that U.S. car manufacturers did. So in the 1970s, there was a Chevy made a car called the Nova, right?
Nova.
And they imported they thought that it would probably sell well in Mexico. So this is the Nova right here. This was a classic from, I think it ran about 10 years. I think it was like 1969 or 70 up to like maybe late 79. But this was a car that, you saw on the road quite a bit. It changed over time, but people would put nice rims on it and kind of a racing stripe on it. It was kind of cool. But the reason it didn't sell very well in Mexico is because Nova in Spanish means doesn't go. So it's not
Nova, right?
Nova doesn't go. So like nobody wanted to buy a car
God, that's so
where the name of it doesn't go. I mean, it was like just another stupid thing where they didn't change the name of it to import into or export into Spanish speaking countries. Probably didn't sell well in Spain, but they probably had too high a tariffs. But I always thought that was fun. Doesn't go. The poor man's Chevelle. It was a poor man's Chevelle. Yeah. It was patterned after the Chevelle, so the Chevelle was a much better. I think it even used a different frame, but that's a good analysis. Poor man Chevelle, pretty much how it was. But I remember that a lot of my next door neighbor who was they were all older than him and his brothers were older, but they had like the car that they wanted was a Nova because it was kind of cheap. It was like they had them in like the earlier 70s models and like the late 70s from what I remember. But yeah, you always watch the kids drive. They wanted that Nova because they couldn't get a Chevelle. What they really wanted was a Chevelle. What they got was a Nova. So there was
Nova. But those Novas, man, you put a V8, big block in there. That thing was big.
Okay, so now
I think they started with an inline 6, I think is what they had started with, the Nova.
Here we go. Here we got to get into this drawing here. We got 33.
33. Well, we're gonna do the drawing. Let me roll this out real quick.
Go ahead,
Here we
dude.
go. Here
Roll
we
it
go.
out.
Win badass Yeti from the blue tribe. Word of the day, Yeta. You got your Zaman wallet ready. Why? Because this drop is gonna be epic. It's time to claim your legendary blue tribe, Yeti clan, Titan's name. Ha! Goofa! Let's go! On the chain.
Wow. Jeff, we went from having no announcing at the beginning of the show, the top of the show, that we were going to have 0 videos to having 2 unique videos, which broke the record. We've never had 2 unique videos played back to back. So, man, what a transformation of events and some good work there. So this is also an epic day too. So we've got 35 in the drawing. It's amazing.
This is the distraction to rig the outcome.
We are on to you. Come
That's
on,
exactly how we do it. That's what
well,
we do.
it's a
Rob.
distraction
Play the
from
music.
giving more of your Yetis away, Rob. That's what it's a distraction from. That's what it is.
Mike 1.
Oh, he's calling Mike already. Mike. Okay.
All right, Mike 1. All right, Mike.
Congrats, Mike. You know, the funny thing is, pick me. The funny thing is, if Rob McDermott wins now, because you've already cursed it, so all of a sudden now Rob's gonna win and be like, see, you see how it works?
Rigged. See how it works?
It's rigged. It's rigged. So okay, guys. So if you're
Man,
here,
we are working, Chip.
here are the goals.
Working on rigging it right now.
Here are the goals of this contest. You have to chime in. If you're the winner, you have to chime in and say, I'm getting my wallet. Say, I'm here. I'm getting my wallet. And I'm also going to get you my X handle. If you don't have an X handle, say, I do not have a handle. I'm not on X, formerly known as Twitter. So Rob is letting him know he's here already. He hasn't won yet, but he's anticipating. So let's see what happens. Just give me the damn address to send it to. Okay. Well, you give us the address and we send it to you, dude. So that's how it works. What is a Yeti? We just saw the video for the Badass Yetis. So Badass Yetis is an NFT project that Jeff and I put together. There are 2 tribes. There's a blue tribe and a white tribe. We're happy to give away a blue tribe member. Can you pause the video just on the one we're giving away today, so we can just pop that up real quick on the video?
Yeah. All right, let me scroll.
Are you able to do that?
I think so. Yeah.
Let's see if we can do that. If you scroll to the
Win badass Yeti from the blue tribe.
Can you scroll to it? Are we watching this again?
Word of the day.
I can't scroll, but it's gonna get to it.
Yeta.
Can you pause it?
I'm gonna try.
Why?
Hey,
Why?
This drop
no.
is
Here
gonna
it comes.
be epic. It's time to claim your
There we go.
legendary blue.
Here he comes.
Yeti clan, Titan's name. Ha! Goofa.
There he is.
Let's go.
Goofa. There he is.
That's the one we're giving away.
That's us. Badass Yetis. Get ready.
There we go. That's a Badass
Giving
Yeti.
one away.
So you have to
What
have
is
a
it?
Zaman wallet. Okay.
On for battle.
On the chain.
Made for legend.
Here we go. So that is what a Badass Yeti is, NFT project from the Badassery collection. The next one to be released very soon will be the Badass Chimps.
Yep.
And that will be working on that to come out. This one, Yeti Gate investigation coming. Okay, here we go. I'm here. Give me a second. I've had a few. Okay.
All right. Here we go.
Here we go. Let's go.
John was our big winner last time.
Yeah. Here we go, guys. Ready? Got 36 in here. Let's see. 1 in 36 chance of winning. Let's go. Tick, 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 tick. Boom. Thanks, Gary.
Gary.
Winner is thanks, Gary. Gary.
Almost stopped on Rob, but it can't stop on Rob.
Gary. Thanks, Gary. Gary, we need to hear from you. Are you here, Gary? See? Come on, Gary. Let's go. Go, Gary. Go.
Go, Gary.
The There we go.
Oh,
Damn. So
there
yeah,
Margot Yetis, yes.
CB11. I always hate that one right before you think you won, and then just
It was so
goes out of
close.
there.
So close.
Huzzah! Huzzah! Oh, here's no Gary. There's no Gary. Gary, are you there? Gary, are you there?
Gary! Gary!
Gary's not here. Gary, where are you, Gary?
Oh man.
Reborn John's typing Yeti already. If you're already in there and we pull it again, we just hit this draw again button, and that person can't come up again.
Gary's here. Look
Boom,
at that.
there's Gary. Yay! Show some
Gary,
love. Very good.
Gary.
All right. Gary is here. Gary, we're going to need your Zaman wallet address along with your X handle.
Go to YouTube now.
Formerly known as Twitter.
What is Twitter, Chip?
Twitter is awesome, Jeff. X is better. Richard Simmons blast.
That was a little loud.
Jeff, you had your finger on the wheel and you clicked it forward. Click, 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 click.
What did I click forward? Oh, to Gary.
He does not like Gary. I hate Gary. He's talking about Gary Counts, not Gary that won. Not love Gary. Everyone's saying the big. Yeah, you're getting it now. Good deal. All right. Well, go ahead and get that.
Well,
I'm gonna
into the YouTube.
I'm gonna play another video here so that we can kind of in the interim here. I wanted to play this. Let's see this.
We need a Zaman wallet. Gary has to getting it now. There we go. Awesome. There you go. Reborn John said it's definitely a rig pull. That's it. Rigged. All right. What are we doing? Chip?
Wait a minute, 1 second. I'm trying to find something here, dude.
Oh, you just went dead quiet.
Oh, yeah, because I was trying to find something. If I can do this or not. Let me see. There's one thing that I wanted to play. It's just one little place in this.
I want to talk about one of the women on the dais.
I'll find it. Here it is. So this is Trump at a roast right before he announced his run in 2015. This is a roast he participated in, but here we go. Let's see.
What's the difference between a wet raccoon and Donald J. Trump's hair? A wet raccoon doesn't have $7 billion fucking dollars in the bank. Very funny. Okay, very funny. America is going through tough times, and we all need to laugh. True. I know that better days are ahead. If we believe in ourselves and the way I believe in myself, and I really do believe in myself, then come June, if I decide to run, you'll have the great pleasure of voting for the man that will easily go down as the greatest president in the history of the United States. Me, Donald John Trump. God bless America, and good night.
And boy, oh boy, did he run. And boy, oh boy, if he's not one of the best presidents ever, right? Exactly. So there was a bunch of other ones in there too. We just didn't have time for it. Wait a minute, what happened there?
All right, here we go.
Here we go.
Gary, give us your X handle if you have it, and we can shout you out on X while we put it out there. Got it? Awesome. Okay. Got it?
That Eat Blockchain is his
all right.
His X handle.
Yeah, I see that. Oops. Open up programming over here.
Awesome. Let me go follow you too here. Hang on a second. I'm not following you already.
All right. I'm opening up the Zaman wallet, and we're going to transfer this bad boy over to you in 1 second. Here we go.
See. There it is. Oh, thanks, Gary. Follow you back. Nice. Got you. Got you on the follow, my man.
There it is. Boom. I love the freaking QR code. Boom. Look at that. Transferring on its way. verifying, submitted.
By the
Done.
way,
Submitted successfully. Thanks,
Trump-
Gary.
Trump posted this picture. Pope Trump. That's great.
Just like that.
Now, what's amazing about this is the White House reposted it on the White House account. This is why I love this White House account. It's officially trolling, but and somebody else made a video say the white smoke's coming out of the chimney. They have a new pope, and somebody, used some AI to show that it was Trump. But I love this. He actually joked about that.
The chain.
But if you look at the White House, let's see here. There we go.
Whoops. Badass Yetis.
Badass Yetis. Marine Corps Evening Prayer, Gifts of Honor. There you go.
Ooh.
This is the Friday feeling when you end taxpayer subsidization of NPR and PBS. I mean, the BBC, British Broadcasting Company, is all pretty much funded by, and it's all leftist propaganda. It's all garbage, and I never understood why. Listen, if you're so good, you can't compete. Why are you a charity event? Look at all the other broadcasting, ABC, CBS, all the cable news channel. Look, you got to make it on your own merit. What is this? Some kind of why would the U.S. be propping up these garbage channels? Like, why does the U.S. need to subsidize anything? To be honest with you, well, for what reason? It's insane to me, especially the leftist propaganda. And it's gotten so bad. It was like, I started noticing that, the 90s, it started getting a little bit more, but then now you listen to it and it's just all under the guise of being news, the NPR news. There were some good, I used to enjoy listening to Car Talk back when it was on. That was fun to listen to. Two guys, they were talking about cars. It's kind of like two guys that talk about crypto, but end up talking about a bunch of other bullshit, Jeff. So it's kind of like we patterned that show after that, a show about, it was like Car Talk. People would call in and say, hey, I got this problem with my car. And they would basically belittle them and make fun of them and make jokes about it. And I mean, they were knowledgeable car guys, but that was a great show when it was on, and that had nothing to do. There's no political slant there. And there's some other good shows on PBS. If you go back to This Old House, and which was really kicked off that whole DIY sort of revolution that you see on HGTV, where they're all DIY shows. So there were some things early days that we're pioneering and we're different, but as a result, it's become just a bunch of leftist propaganda, and I'm glad it's over, Jeff, to be honest. So
Mm-hmm.
Badass Yeti, there we go.
Badass Yeti.
Dude, I would like to see that Badass Yeti as your new, I know you got that, and you got the McScrooge, the duck NFT there. Isn't that one? Isn't that Bags NFT? I think it is. I'm not 100% sure because it's kind of small. I can't really see it, but I think that's Bags. But anyway, if you want, go ahead and change it, man. Put your Badass Yeti in there. It's weird, proud. Tom and Ray, that was it, dude. Tom and Ray, they were fantastic, right? Am I wrong? That was a great show to listen to. And I'll never forget the time where my dad and I drove from New York down to Florida, and we were picking those guys up all over. We were laughing our asses off. A nice bonding moment. Like if I remember that trip, like what I remember is us listening to Tom and Ray and laughing our asses off because it was so funny. We pick up another show because as you were traveling through, you'd pick it up, and I think they had like a marathon or something on where they had it all day. It was really fantastic. Click and clap, something like click. I think they said something like they called each other click and clack or something like that. But yeah, that was the Rich Ducks. Yeah, the Rich Ducks. But that's isn't that XRP Bags? I think that's his NFT thing, if I'm not mistaken. Of course, we got to meet Bags last year, and what a great dude he is, man. Got to see him perform 2 nights in a row at the the Wave of Innovation in Australia. He was there. It was fantastic hanging with him. He's just one of the best dudes in the space. So it was a lot of fun, man. Yeah, he's got the ducks. Yep, that's what I thought. A very cool NFT project too. So it's always good to be out there supporting, Yep, he's got the ducks. Monty Python, Benny Hill, Masterpiece Theater, Glory Days of PBS. But yeah, that too was when they were just showing, rebroadcasting, British television. But you're right, that was when it was. Yes, it is. Yep. Thank you for seconding that. But that's all we have, Jeff. We'll be back tomorrow night. What are you laughing at, Jeff? There's something. What are you laughing at?
Chad posted this here. Hang on a minute. Put this up on the
Rich's duck. Yeah, that's it. That's it.
in the
Rich's duck.
Discord.
Let's see. What
This
do
is
you
really
got
good. I'm putting it up. Hang on.
in the Discord?
That's
There you
that's
go.
a Yeti Vicar.
There you go. There's the vicar right there. Yeti
He
Vicar.
needs a Yeti of the White Tribe, Yeti Vicar. That's really cool. And if you guys aren't on the Discord yet, make sure you jump in to the Discord. We'll make sure that get more things shared up in there like that. That's really cool. Glad
Yeah,
he
the
put
Yeti
that in
Vicar. I
there.
just got the announcement here. Yeah, that's awesome.
So I'm going to send over invite. If you guys aren't in the Badass Yetis Discord yet, come over here. We typically post the winners over on the Discord. And so that's a lot of fun. There we go. I post on today's Discord. I put the song up there that we played, the whole song, and then also the winner, and that's posted on X already. So we are rolling.
Rolling.
All right. Look at that, man. Still out there shopping in Belgium. Make sure you get us some beers. If you're over there in Belgium shopping, if you could stop and maybe get some Delirium, maybe a 4-pack of Delirium, that would be perfect. Wouldn't mind. Chip, if you ever go over to that region, make sure you stop off at the Delirium bar. They've got a crazy ass beer menu at Delirium. They have like 2,000 beers on their menu. They bring you like an encyclopedia. You open it up, search up your beer, and then you're good to go.
Beautiful. Love that. I love the sound of that.
Lots of beer options.
Yeah, I like
Chocolate.
Get the chocolate. Belgium chocolate. She's still out shopping. See you later, man. Appreciate you checking in, dude. Especially while you're shopping. Very cool. That Dion kid got humbled in the NFL draft. He sure did. And everybody making it about, racism was absolutely a joke because, if you saw some of the videos, there's that video when he was with Cam, the number one pick, and he's going, yeah, you want to do a music video? You want to do it? And he's like, no, man, I just want to play football. I just want to play football. So you can see the guy that went number one, and they were like making it about the race. I'm like, no, dude. I mean, the first guy that went was black. I mean, but you show the level of it's not only the level of play, but also too, it wasn't in a major conference. So I don't know if it was the same on par play. And it may come back to haunt the Cleveland Browns that they took, Shedeur Sanders ahead of Will Howard, and Will Howard ended up going to Pittsburgh. And again, he dropped a lot too. I mean, yeah, okay, he was only with, Ohio State for 1 year, but he had a phenomenal year. I think the guy, I've seen a couple of the, some videos on him. I don't know, he could end up being a sleeper. If you look at Tom Brady sorry to talk about football, NFL football here, but Tom Brady went in the 6th round. I mean, Tom freaking Brady, who won 6 Super Bowls, 7 Super Bowls, whatever it was. I mean, Tom Brady went in the 6th round. You had Will Howard drop. You had Shedeur Sanders drop. What it means for them is what it meant for Shedeur Sanders is he probably lost out about $30 million. But if he goes in and proves himself and he shows himself to be a superstar, he can prove everybody wrong and say, dude, I came in here, I put I earned the starting job. I became, a class act in the NFL, and then he can do all the grandstanding he wants. But this is a tremendous opportunity for him to prove himself. And he can say, shit, I should have gone in the 1st round. Now, on NFL.com, you can go look at a video. It's phenomenal. It's really long, but it shows every first pick in the 1st round throughout since they had the draft. You'll be shocked to see how many of them were busts, especially a lot of them that go in the 1st round. You saw a lot of them in free agency. You saw a lot of them teams getting rid of. They were 1st round choices, so it doesn't guarantee you anything. It's just someone, and you have a guy like Josh Allen, and the other Josh was higher, in that draft. And Josh Rosen, we thought that he was, I even thought myself that he was a better quarterback, but no one knows even what team Josh Rosen plays on. No one's ever heard of him. He's always been a backup quarterback. I don't even know if he's still playing. So it doesn't always guarantee you anything. But thanks for bringing that up, Charles. I'm really happy because you're out there in Pittsburgh, and I think that Will Howard may turn out to be he could be your franchise quarterback. I would not rule this kid out. I think he's very talented. And I think that if anything happens, I don't know, maybe Cleveland will regret the fact that they didn't take Will Howard. I think he's going to be great. I don't know what your thoughts are on it, but yeah, the John Gruden QB video is what I'm talking about. Man, that's exactly the video that I saw with John Gruden talking about it. This kid is sharp, man. And the fact that Pittsburgh had no quarterback, they let two guys, they're who I thought should have been their franchise quarterback now going to be playing for the Jets. I would look forward to seeing big things, but I'll tell you what, I have a feeling that this kid, Will Howard, could turn into be something, could be a winner. And I'd like to see, and Pittsburgh's a great team. Not a big fan of the coach there. He gets them to the playoffs every year, but I'm not sure he's I almost feel it's time for a different coach to come in. Again, getting to the playoffs, but getting knocked out the first round so many times, not cool. But I like Pittsburgh a lot. Even hate when they play the Bills. They're a good team. I think they've been on the upswing, and I think probably one of the teams that had the best draft was the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I think they had a phenomenal draft. NFL analysts agree too. They gave them an A for that across the board all 3 days. So they did great. Anyway, that's all on the NFL front. I know it bores all of our foreign listeners because they're like, that isn't football. That's a joke. It's American football, people, and that's what I love to spend a lot of time on. So what is Justin saying? Avery Johnson took over for Will Howard when he was transferred. My guy's only a junior this year. He's going to kill it. Yeah, I would say Avery. Yeah, agree, man. Avery Johnson is I think he'll end up being somebody really good. That's right, Will Howard. But what is your opinion on Will Howard, though? Because that's right. He played, and then he transferred into Ohio State and only played that 1 year. Had a great year, though. Won a national championship. But isn't it amazing? And I think he was the MVP. But the MVP, and he couldn't make it up on the stage, but the MVP for a national championship doesn't even go in the first, second, or third rounds. Was he the third round or fourth round? But it was a really weird draft this year, but it was amazing how many needs were there. But you didn't see a lot of running backs. You didn't see a lot of QBs going, which you usually do. You saw a lot of safeties, a lot of tackles. It was an interesting draft in a lot of ways. And I thought KC did pretty well too. I thought KC had a pretty good draft. They filled some needs as well. So they did all right in the draft as well. They did pretty good, especially given they didn't have a lot of high picks, but they picked some quality players. So it'd be great to see what happens. My Hawks caught a draft A as well. Let's go. Hawks. I didn't know you were a Hawks fan. Huh. All right. Well, good for you. Our hockey coach, Mike Sullivan. Pittsburgh just went to the New York Rangers, $8 million a year. It's amazing, these guys. Justin Harrison, very proud of Will Howard, deserved national championship. He's a damn good guy. Yeah, I agree too. And I really thought he should have gone higher. But you know what? I kind of like going a little bit later in the rounds. You don't have that heavy burden on your shoulders and expectation. But I have a buddy who's a lifelong Steelers fan, one of my best buds, and I said, dude, not be surprised if Will Howard ends up becoming the franchise quarterback. This kid he's got the goods, he's got the mindset, he's strong in so many areas, got a great arm. I mean, man, I still don't know why he didn't go sooner. But again, every team looks at people different, and Will Howard's going to be the dude. Strange the end.
We're done.
Well,
we're leaving, but now we're turning this into a
sorry, man. I had a
podcast, and everybody's leaving, and they're.
Can someone duct tape you? Sorry, man. I had to go off a little bit. Oh, the Seahawks. Yeah, the Seahawks. Yeah, the Seahawks had a great draft. Great draft, man.
Yep.
Yeah.
For the end of that trip.
Sorry, man. You bring up sports. I don't have. There's no sports outlet for me. I'll start a sports podcast, and we'll start talking about.
That'd be funny.
We'll talk about football. But anyway, sorry, you got me there.
There you go, Chip.
Jackie checked in. She's a little bit late. That's okay. Thank you for stopping by. I appreciate it. From the blue tribe. 6'4", 6'3", 240 pounds. Will Howard. Yeah, he's a beast. Could be like another Josh Allen type, man. Guy's strong, man. I don't know. I'm big on Will Howard. I was kind of shocked that he didn't go. I don't know. People had a lot of criticism, but that's great. You know, be the guy. Be a shorter Sanders where you weren't. You know, you dropped in the draft. Okay, you got a chance to prove yourself. Will Howard, chance to prove yourself. I like obviously you're not going to make the money, but if you do good and you earn the role and you kill it and crush it, yeah, Shedeur Sanders, let's suppose he becomes the franchise quarterback of the Cleveland Browns. All right, well, great, and he'll get his payday. You get your payday at some point, but if you get to go out there and prove yourself, you don't have as much pressure. But Cleveland's got like 4 or 5 quarterbacks now, so I don't know what they're going to do. I think they have 5 quarterbacks on the roster. They're only going to keep 3. So again, it's going to be interesting. Look, squirrel. Anyway, I mean it. We're getting out of here this time. I'm out.
Hang on.
Seriously.
Yep, I've got a. I loaded up the wrong one over to the Discord, so I got to delete it now. But I was putting up. So we have. Oh, that might have been the right one. Whoops. Now I deleted. Too late. It's gone. But here you go. This is for Chad. If he's still there. Can you hear it? Oh, I muted.
He doesn't speak. He strikes. Vicar of the White Tribe.
Vicar. Oh no.
The White Tribe.
Born in blizzards, raised in fire. Eyes like ice, fists like night. The silent fan, the winter blade. In shadows deep, his mark is made.
With that, you can hear the rest on Discord.
Yeah, go on Discord and listen to it. It's another badass tune crafted by Jeff. Beautiful. But that's all the time we do really have, because it went 1 hour and 51 minutes, way longer than we expected, but that's what happens sometimes. But we'll see you guys on the next one, which is tomorrow night. Chip and Jeff out.
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.